Anybody else see the except for one? Maraming beses nakita nilayasan, iniwala lang ibang panunta. Parang babae, ang hirap talaga malimutan. Ikaw lang ang laging I keep coming back to you. Simply don't Anybody else see the except for one? Maraming beses nakita nilayasan, iniwala lang ibang panunta. Parang babae, ang hirap talaga malimutan. Ikaw lang ang laging I keep coming back to you. Simply don't Somehow I feel like I'm going alone. Anybody else will see this except for the Marami beses nakita nilayasan iniwala na ibang panunta para babae ang hirap talaga malimutan. Ikaw lang ang laging binabalikan. I keep coming back to you. Simply the place
On the streets of San Francisco, and in Disneyland, in Sydney, don't belong. Anak kita Manila, kain sarap sa kanya. Lain na nagkaganda. Take me back in your arms, Manila. I'll never let you go. Let you go. Hello. Good evening. Magandang gabi sa ating mga kababayan all across Ontario. It's pretty late here now. Late in uh, New Brunswick, late in the East Coast, uh, late in PEI and Newfoundland and Labrador. It's pretty late there now, but it's still quite early, still after dinner. West Coast, and it's just 8 o'clock p.m. in Winnipeg, 7 o'clock p.m. in Calgary and Edmonton and Red Deer, and it's only 6 p.m. in British Columbia. Can you believe that? Before dinner, past British Columbia, but it's after dinner here. I figured it's Friday night, so instead of the after dinner Kuwentuhan, we'll do a late night Kuwentuhan. These are my friends, the Accolade. 2 years ago, we had a collaboration. I got them to perform in one of our street festivals here in Toronto called the Bon Fiesta Extravaganza. I got them on stage and they love it. It's the biggest stage, it's the biggest audience they ever performed at. So they pretty much like that, and looks like they're. You can see that they're having fun with Manila. So we'll play that one more loop while we get into right into our conversation. So I'm very impressed with the pronunciation of our friend here, Matthew. I had to coach him a couple of sessions para makuha niya yung um, right there. Okay, you can see I'm the one in black. I just face this way. Oh, iba pala yung view doon sa original. The one right on my right side, that's the lead singer of the Accolades. The Accolades is a hybrid jazz, funk, rock local band artist here in Toronto. And I did a collaboration with them in 2018 to perform in a festival. So we got that accomplished, and we were hoping to bring them to more events and festivals, and they're gonna learn more Filipino songs. But some of our festival producer at that time were not willing to foot up the bill, so I had to find sponsors for them. And then we forged a relationship with another brass band as well. It's called There Goes the Juice Box Brass Band. They're willing to learn a few more funky Filipino funk rock and oldies. So that was the idea. So we had so much fun. So I realized instead of playing some random music for my intro on this nightly, uh, there's something wrong with my audio. Maybe I lost my treble or too much bass. There you go. No, but it sounds a little muffled. Um, anyways, there you go. Um, yeah, very badly muffled sound. I don't know what happened there, but we'll try and get it fixed tomorrow. Oh, there. Okay, it's getting clearer. Yeah, my treble's way down. That's why. Okay, all right. Sounds better. Well, thank you for joining me. Again, we are opened by the accolades there, and I see a spike on some viewership when we played the accolades singing Manila. So we'll just turn them down as soon as this loop is over, and then we'll get back to our conversation. Thank you for joining me. This is still part of our data sampling dress rehearsal for the night show. So the night show, we are hoping that we can do this as a uh, after dinner kwentuhan. That light is really bright. The after dinner kwentuhan is an alternative to sa mga kababayan natin para instead na manood ng television, dito tayo magkwentuhan. But it proves to be not a very easy proposition. I don't think it's always going to be easy to do that. So let's remove the accolades and put on our show title. So yun, after kwentuhan, after dinner kwentuhan. That's the title of the show. But it's 9 o'clock in Ontario. It's still after dinner in some parts of Canada, but here in Ontario, it's late night na, late night kwentuhan na. So I figured on Friday nights that could be actually a proposition or an option for us to get together magkwentuhan tayo late night ng gabi Friday. Pero it's still debatable kasi the idea for data sampling is to be consistent on what time. But after dinner is really competing with television every night. That is the challenge that we are faced with. Most people are so accustomed to turning on their TV after dinner is over. Yun ang idea. Yun ang reality. So here in our show, We could also do before dinner kwentuhan, which probably is more viable kasi nga po every other in a cyclical or in a alternate cycle. My Sundu duties falls on 7:30 to 8:30 time block, and it always change because my wife shift change. So we can do an early one, 6:30 or 6 o'clock. I was actually about to try that today, except I had this low sugar situation, ate something to mitigate, and then every time I do that, what comes next is weakness, and then I fall asleep. That's a problem with the low sugar situation. I got tested. They said I don't have diabetes, and it's very unlikely for me to have a diabetes according to the test. But I'm gonna get that test again because my lolo has diabetes. But I do get a lot of these sugar situation where I my meals are not on time. I get busy and I get engaged and I get engrossed to what I'm doing, and then I forget to eat my lunch. That's always a problem. And then by the time I remember, oh, lunchtime, it's already 3:30, and then I'm shaking, and my sugar is so low, and that's always the issue. But it's all about being conscious about your meals. But I can see that in my daughter. You know how we have things that growing up we say, things we see from our parents, and we say, when I grow up, I wouldn't want to be like that. But I grew up and I see my dad in me, right? So one of the things my dad is forgetting meals, getting so focused on whatever his hands are working on, and would just not think of anything else until he's finished and accomplished with the certain task that's at hand. Until that's complete, he cannot put it down. Ganun din yung aking obsession minsan with the project. um, so that's why people like me, my dad, and now I can see that on my daughter. Um, she loves to do crafts, and I am amazed with some of the art artisan craft that she produces with her hands. Give me a second. I am back. There you go. Sorry about that. Every time I'm this close to the microphone, I get sneezy. I think it's because, okay, now if I raise up the sensitivity, I'm not sure if you can hear me if I lean back like so. Let's turn up the volume on my monitor. How about now? Is that okay? Every time I'm close to this microphone, I get allergic. I can feel an aura of static around it, and it causes me to feel itchy around my face and my eyes, and I sneeze. Anyways, going back to our conversation, um, I can see in my daughter when she is so engrossed with what she is doing. Kasi very ano siya, magaling siya sa art, sa mga crafts, yung mga origami or painting or things that you do with paper and sticks and little wooden stuff, and she's just so crafty. And she used to just watch some YouTube video and she will imitate what she sees on a YouTube craft channel. But then eventually she would do things on her own, from her own imagination. She will create things. So she's very creative. But I can see in her na nakikita ko yung, I guess, the DNA. It's both a blessing and a curse, I guess, at the same time. When she is so engrossed with her work, wala nang ibang nakikita, wala nang, she's so focused and she won't be distracted, and she would get upset sometimes even if you call her for lunch, lunchtime, or nowadays it's easier because they have online school and they have specific time structure where they, when they go to lunch, when they have recess, when they have a break. So there's a silver lining with this lockdown. In a way, it's good because I've been hoping to do homeschooling with her, but I just didn't have the program. I didn't know what kind of program would I follow, or how expensive it's going to be. But now we get to try at least, because of this massive lockdown, because of the pandemic. Now the government has funded the online schooling. There are some advantages, but definitely on the long term, there are so many disadvantages. I'm not talking about homeschooling in general, but the way this is being. Um, Maybe I should not talk about it here. Medyo may strike na po tayo sa censorship. Actually, meron akong YouTube video that I am editing that I'm supposed to share with you tonight. But then I realized nakatanggap kasi po ang inyong lingkod ng isang notification from dito. Dito kung saan yung pinapanood ang ating programa tonight. Sinabihan ako na one strike na lang, buburahin namin ang account mo. Sabi ko, ano ba naman yung ginawa akong offense na very So wala naman akong bagong ibang ginagawa. I was live casting noong election day. I was live casting 8 hours on a loop. Before that, in April, I was doing the test broadcasting. Remember those times na nagte-test broadcast ako with all the digital panels around the frame? Back in April, I was doing that. And I would put that in a loop for 8 hours. No problem. But recently, I posted my own, yung sarili ko mga opinion about sa mga nangyayari sa, sorry, sa mga nangyayari sa eleksyon diyan, sa mga nangyayari sa halalan sa Estados Unidos south of our border. And nakikita ko kasi yung mga censorship na napapanood ko sa social media, sa Twitter, dito lang sa Facebook, sa YouTube. Pagka meron kang mga kaibigan na nag-share sa'yo ng video na mainstream naman yung video, hindi naman siya lalo na yung balita ang bagong kalaban ng Fox News, yung Newsmax. Nako, kanina lang nag-try ako mag-share. Merong notification kaagad na kung isi-share mo ito, nare-risk mo na mag-share ka ng fake news. According to doon sa opinion nila, right? So, napaka-blatant ng censorship sa ating henerasyon. Kahit na manood ka ng mainstream na balitaan, tapos meron silang, ini-interview na taliwas sa opinion noong anchor. Dapat nga yung mga anchor, yung mga news anchor, wala dapat silang opinion. They should stay neutral and just get the information out of their guest. Or halimbawa, nagpe-play sila ng B-roll, talumpati ng press secretary ng Pangulo. Dapat yon, wala silang opinion. Pabayaan nilang marinig ng mga tao para ang mga tao ang magagawa ng sarili nilang opinion. Dapat sila naghahatid lamang ng katotohanan or the facts, right? Pero itong mga nakalipas na araw, kitang-kita nating harapan na pagsesensor ng mga ideya na taliwas sa gustong ipalaganap ng mga mga mamamahayag na mainstream, yung mga mamahayag na malalaking korporasyon. Gusto nilang kontrolin kung ano ang ating maririnig, kung ano ang ating makikita, ano ang ating pakikinggan, kung ano ang ating sasang-ayunan, at kung ano man yung ating ire-reject na mga ideya. Kontroladong-kontrolado ng mainstream media talaga ang ating um, filter ng kung anong information ang pwede nating i-share at pwede nating marinig at makita. Nakakatakot po ang mga nangyayari sa mga araw na to. Kaya kahit ako marami akong opinion na gustong i-share dito, minsan I have to hold myself back dahil eh, inaano natin tong plataforma to, pinaghahandaan natin maging isang plataforma para sa, hindi lang naman sa politika, pati sa mga community communications para sa ating komunidad na Filipino-Canadians all across Canada. Magkaroon tayo ng hub of communication, mga palitan. At ibinuhos ko na lahat ng lakas ko at saka investment into building itong negosyo na to. Although it's also an advocacy, kasi ako naniniwala na kung magnenegosyo ka or gagawa ka ng isang hanap buhay, gawin mo na yung ano rin, yung isang bagay na passionate ka rin dun sa issue na yon na i-advocate mo. So, alam niyo yung kasabihan na if you choose something that you like and you choose that to be your career, you'll never work a day in your life. So, yun ang prinsipyo na, kaya ito ang gusto kong gawing negosyo dahil ito yung, I'm enjoying creating communications sa ating komunidad. Hindi lang sa larangan ng politika, pati rin sa larangan ng mga entertainment, at mga informasyon kung sinong merong bagong restaurant na nagtayo, kung ano yung mga kaganapan sa ating komunidad, mga events, mga community parties or fundraising events and all that. I really like to get involved in the community because nandito na ako since 93 and ngayon lang ako talaga fully involved in our community since 2018. Doon lang ako nagsimula. And I didn't realize how big our community is already and how strong is the influence of our community. For many years, nobody is really inviting me to be involved. And from my side, also, I had reasons trying not to be involved in the community, which is natunaw naman na yung mga reasons na yun, partially. But one day, I'll tell you all about it. Ikukwento ko sa inyo kung ano yung mga dahilan. Nakatulog po ako kaya as you can see, I look like I just woke up. Nakatulog ako dahil nga dun sa low sugar. Every time I have that low sugar, I'll end up compensating with getting a lot of carbs to mitigate yung nagsishake ka kasi para kang pinapawisan, nagsishake ka pagka naglo-low sugar ka. And to mitigate that, you are going to try to get some carbohydrates in you, which turns into sugar. And when it turns to sugar, nagigera yung system inside your body. And the stress level is so high, and then all of a sudden, you're put in a very subdued activity. I don't know if that's cardio or whatever, but the brain really wants to go take a nap. So yun, nagising ako past 8 na, 8:30 na ata. Kaya late po tayo nagsimula. I thought, okay, forget it. I won't do a live cast anymore tonight dahil late naman na. But I realized, you know what, subukan naman natin. Mag-experiment naman tayo. How does a late night broadcast, perform? And let's get some data sample from this kind of late night live event. So far, no opening, it's okay. We got a lot of attention from a lot of listeners. Excuse po talaga yung allergy ko eh. Don't go in, I'm still here. I just had to sneeze. The allergy is just acting up tonight. Not feeling very well, but I promise to have a consistent data sampling series for my analytics, for my analysis to determine the type of timing, the type of even the music background has a lot of indication what kind of music background helps with the spread of the in data analysis. You will see kung ano yung performance ng inyong digital production. Little things, light, the volume of your mic, the way you look in the camera, all of these. Doon sa analytics, you will see how all of this performs, right? So that is the idea. Thank you for joining me in doing all of these dress rehearsal. It's a dress rehearsal, but the the full throttle sponsored version of this when it's already ongoing will be based on the data analysis, on the analytics that we will gather from all this sampling. Kaya importante yung sampling. In the real world or the offline world, yung hindi digital method, you also do some sampling, pero manual ang pagsasample. So this is what we're doing here too. We're sampling here too, but it's not so manual. We have a lot of assistance. Since I am a one-man production, I really need the assistance of the computer. So let's talk a little bit about technology. One of my favorite topics on the F series that I mentioned to you before. I love the smell of that. That's a mm. One indicator if you have flu-like symptoms or mga sipon-sipon and then you are getting scared. You're suspecting ano kaya to is this COVID, right? One of the litmus tests para malaman nyo kung may COVID kayo or wala, your sense of smell. Pag nawala yung sense of smell, so I'm using like very fragrant. My daughter has a collection of very very strong fragrant sanitizers. Favorite niya to, nagko-collection nito sa body shop, and she would give me these tiny little sanitizers. It smells so good. And it comes in many different flavors. Nako, sana sponsoran nila tayo para we can talk more about this. Anyways, yun likod na lang pakita natin. It's about this size. See, it fits in the palm of your hand. But I love the smell. And also it helps sa ito yung rapid test. Because we didn't have rapid test approved here in Canada yet. This is our practical rapid test to see if you have COVID or not. You if you lost your sense of smell, there's a big chance that you have COVID. Go get checked. Don't panic if you get COVID. I haven't had COVID tested yet. For me and my wife, it's we are very serious in protecting ourselves because I have pre-existing condition. Meron ako asthma. I had growing up. I think before I turned 12, I had primary complex, so I had to medicate for a year to mitigate yung primary complex when I was a kid. My wife has diabetes, so we are not good candidates to be infected by COVID-19. But if you're healthy, now, having said that, it is possible na I got it already. It has come and gone. It's possible kasi 99% ang sabi ng CDC said it's the death rate for COVID is point 0.27, something like that, 0.27%. Just it's a, it's just about the same death rate with the common colds, common flu. Every year in America, there's about 100,000 people who die uh, with uh, with the flu, with the common colds, with the regular flu. Yung mga namamatay sa regular flu, usually, what we see now, yung mga matatanda. At saka, yung mga merong weakness in their system. Let's say, like me, I have asthma growing up and I had primary complex. When I get sick with flu, it's different the way I get sick. I'll be in bed for more than a week. And when I say and I'm in bed, don't come near me, don't talk to me. Just let me be, let me heal. Ganun ako magkaroon ng flu. Nag-iingat pa ako sa mga sinasabi ko dahil para tayo hindi ma-sensor at mapatawan ng marami tayong mga kaibigan na bigla-bigla na lang nawawala yung kanilang yung kanilang account. Kaya kahit marami tayong opinion, pinaghahandaan natin na yung opinion natin hindi natin lalagay dito sa Facebook. Meron tayong mga inahandang may ibang platforma kung saan natin maibibigay ang ating opinion. Unfortunately, ganito ang ayos ng ating sociedad. Meron nga tayong mga tools na katulad nitong social media, pero sa social media naman, na-dominate siya ng mga technocrats na gusto rin nilang hindi payagan ang malayang pagpapahayag ng mga opinion, malayang pagpapahayag ng mga thoughts. Kailangan sumunod ka lang sa mga gusto nilang official na opinion nila. Or else, wag mong gamitin itong kanilang plataforma ng social media. Yun ang ganun ang ngayon eh. So, because that is the contention and that is the reasoning ng mga nagpapatakbo ng social media. So, pinaghahandaan natin na magkaroon tayo ng alternative na social media kung saan tayo magpapahayag ng malaya ng ating opinion dahil hindi rin natin ma-afford na mawala itong platform to dahil ito nga yung unang step, no? At saka nandito yung ating mga organic na connection sa mga kaibigan, sa mga connection sa komunidad. Marami ako sa friends list ko, yung mga in real life kung makikipag-network ako sa mga kasi 'di ba dati ako ay isang financial consultant. So para kami makakilala ng maraming mga movers and shakers kung tawagin in the sa industriya, mag-attend ka ng maraming networking events. Minsan magagastusan ka kasi wining and dining, 'di ba? Kaya restaurant costs, dinner costs, taking people out for coffee. Magastos sa magnegosyo eh. Para ka magkaroon ng mga connection, mga network. That's in real life. In the digital life, we can accomplish that as well, but in a different kind of tactic, Nandun pa rin naman yung mga etiquettes na kailangan i-observe the way you try introduce yourself in real life sa mga bagong connection or requesting your friends to give you referrals, recommendation to meet other people. Ganun din naman ang etiquette na kailangan i-observe sa social media the way you observed it in real life. So it's a process to build your network. And dito sa ating plataforma, sa ating account, naka-build tayo ng network ng mga importanteng mga tao sa komunidad. Nagkaroon tayo ng connection sa mga media, mga importanteng media, mga movers and shakers kung tawagin. Sa Wednesday nga, pwede ko naman nang i-announce to because confirm na. Sa Wednesday, taping na natin with our kaibigan natin sa CBC na isa sa mga kauna-unahang Pilipinong mamamahayag sa mainstream broadcasting TV dito sa Canada, ang ating kaibigan at kapatiran ni si Ginang Maribel Taruk of CBC Broadcast. No? Napakalaking brand nun. Uh, through our network, dito rin sa Facebook at saka in real life, through networking na meet natin itong mga ganitong importanteng tao, nakilala, nagkaroon ng connection. Ngayon, magiging parte siya ng isang taping natin next week. So, i-announce na natin yan. Mag-screenshot lang tayo during the taping tapos magka-create na ako ng mga promotional buzz materials para i-promote yung episode na yon para manood ng maraming kababayan natin all across Canada. Kasi kilalang kilala si Marvel Taruk dito po sa Canada. Dahil siya ay nasa national TV. Although nowadays, nakikita ko na ang kanyang pagpapahayag is dito sa CBC Toronto. Kasi CBC The National or yung Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, pang malawak na yan, reach all across Canada. And it's funded by the government of Canada. Ang pahayagan na yan, broadcasting center na pangbuong Canada. Nang una ko nakita si Ginang na Maribel, ang pagkaalala ko, nakikita ko siya doon sa national version nung CBC Nightly News. Ang tawag doon is The National. CBC The National. Ang dating anchor niyang CBC The National is si Peter Mansbridge. Isa sa mga paborito ko mamahayag. Nag-retire na yan. Nag-retire na kasi yung matagal na. Siguro 30 taon na namamahayag yan sa Broadcasting Corporation. So pinalitan na siya ng mga bata at saka nagkakaroon ng move sa mga mainstream media nga na bigyan ng pagkakataon ng iba't ibang taong from different racial background. Nakikita natin yan. Ngayon, ang main anchor ng The National is isang kabataang from a Chinese heritage. If I can, just from my first glance, I didn't do my research kung Chinese ba siya or Malaysian. I'm not sure. Pero he's from an Asian heritage. Yan ang main anchor nila ngayon doon. I'm not sure if he's the main anchor. Pero siya yun na, in my impression, the way I don't really watch a lot of mainstream media anymore kasi lahat ng source of information nire-research ko na. Hindi na ako tumatanggap ng just polished echo chamber type information from corporate media. Kailangan natin paglaban ng CBC kasi technically ang CBC dapat ang struktura ng CBC because ito ay pondo ng gobyerno. Dapat ito ay merong mas malakas na pagkakataong maging neutral. Karamihan kasi ng mga very large broadcasting network, lalo na sa Amerika. Ang mga higanting broadcast network is usually private corporations, or not private but mega corporations. So in mega corporations, it's all about profit. Since it's all about profit, then kontrolado sila ng kanilang sponsors, yung kanilang main sponsors. CBC technically should not be able to be controlled by a main sponsor, a corporate sponsor, dahil karamihan or the majority, ano ba sa Tagalog na ang mayorya ng kanyang pagpopondo ay galing sa mga taxpayers, mga mamamayan ng Canada. So, national broadcast katulad ng CBC should be able to avoid, corporate dollar manipulation ng kanyang narrative. Recently naakusahan ang CBC ng ibang mga partido na nagiging partisan siya dahil parang mas nakakatanggap siya ng mas malaking pondo sa isang partido ng pamahalaan as compared dun sa kabilang partido. So that's a debate na hindi po natin pag-uusapan tonight. Pero may mga puntos yung debating yan. But all in all, kung mailalagay sa tama ang CBC, ito ang isa sa mga pinakamalakas na at pinaka-epektibong channel of communication or pinaka-epektibong struktura ng pahayagan dahil kung masusunod ang kanyang mandato, magiging neutral to na in the service of the Canadians. Kailangan lang talagang isaayos. Kaya kailangan nating ipaglaban ng CBC na mag-stick to the mandate ng kanyang the creation of the CBC. So I like the CBC. Sometimes I don't like how it's managed. But the structure and the intent behind the CBC is actually more sound than the normal, the usual format or business model ng mga big corporate network, media network, broadcasting network tulad ng CNN, Fox, ABC, CBC. At dito sa Canada, may mga kalaban din ng CBC. Nandiyan yung CTV Global. What I heard, sila rin ay nakakatanggap na rin ng pondo mula sa pamahalaan. But I hope na I know technically it's not the same structure ang mga pahayagan itong mga global and CTV. They don't have the same structure na katulad ng CBC, kaya it cannot be comparable. Oh, there you go. Now I can lean back and I can hear myself. Lumalapit ako kasi hindi ko marinig yung aking akala ko I'm too far away. Oh, wow. This chair needs to get replaced. Minsan sa interview ko, bigla yung pumuputok. Like what I did with Erin O'Toole, it actually made that very annoying creaking sound. Ang gusto kong pag-usapan talaga natin mainly, but by now you probably know that's a kind of conversationalist. I really want to be a conversationalist, but you guys don't respond. You cannot stick your head out of this camera and talk to me. But there's a way to do that. 647-875-3783. You can text me if you want to engage with me. Because I'm a conversationalist. I'm not a monologuer usually. Pero yung kausap ko pagka hindi nagre-respond and in a conversation, the other person seems to intently listening to what I'm saying. I can keep on going, but I branch out too many. My train of thought usually is not a linear train of thought. It's more like a roots of an acacia tree. That's the kind of mind I have, I guess. One thing always leads to another, and it branches out so many things as we go down the road of a certain topic or a certain idea that you're pursuing. Eventually, I want to make sure I'm in the middle here. Eventually, you will touch on so many other aspects. If my camera dies, my battery is halfway through kasi itong juice niya. So, if my camera dies, it won't go away. I'll still be here. You'll still hear my voice. Just the camera will die, and then I'll get some water while I change the battery, and I'll play some music for you in the interim. Pero ang gusto kong pag-usapan natin tonight is the yearly cycle of typhoon season in the Philippines. We live in such an advanced era in our history. Now it's too loud. I have to push this back. Such advanced era in her history, I believe that there's no excuse for um, people like people in the Philippines. Na every time there's a typhoon, people die because their shelter cannot withstand the challenges of strong winds and the typhoon. I can't believe we are still in that kind of era na marami pa rin namamatay every time there's a typhoon, which is every year. We have to expect that every year there is going to be typhoons and storms and strong winds, lalo na sa Pilipinas. It's a given. But do we just allow this cyclical? Wala tayong magagawa sa typhoon. Typhoon is a natural phenomenon. But the only thing people can do is be prepared and expect the typhoon to come every year. Pero the way we build our houses, especially yung mga areas, mga regions na laging tinatamaan ng bagyo, we rebuild every time. We're resilient people, right? May bagyo, may sakuna. The bagyo will destroy everything, but we are resilient people and will build again. And I admire us for having that resilience. But we build again, but we build again the houses the same way we built it the first time. Doesn't make sense. Alam natin na pag dumating yung bagyo, sisirain ulit ng bagyo the way we build houses in the Philippines, especially in those areas na apektado. So I had this idea. I was trying to um, suggest it to you this morning. I opened the conversation this morning. My battery's gonna die, and then I'll get some water. Okay, don't go away when I do that. I'll talk for another 5 minutes, but I really need to get some water soon. I don't have an assistant. See, Joey is Joey. My assistant is Joey. My assistant is Joey. You know who's Joey? That's me. I am my own assistant. Busy yung assistant ko eh. Nagbo-broadcast right now, kaya hindi ko mautusan. There you go. We live in such an advanced age na there are different methods of building homes that can actually withstand storm. And yung mga homes na yon, I believe, is not much more expensive than the way we build homes today. It's just a matter of choice. You're gonna have a budget. You are going to build a house. Building a house costs money. You gotta set aside some money. You'll have a budget for it. But the only problem is the same budget or just a little bit more than the usual budget. You have a choice. You can build it the old way, rebuild your house the old method, or get some new plans and build your house with a new plan in such a way na pag dumating yung bagyo, it can withstand the strong winds a lot better. It has more odds of staying intact. The percentage of it being resilient against the typhoon is a lot stronger than the traditional way we build homes. So kung merong plano, right, with the same budget to build a house, pero the plan will actually help you sustain the strong winds of typhoons. Wouldn't you choose that plan? So it's just a matter of presenting the plans to our builders and the mindset. It's all about the mindset. Now, it's possible that I'm not thinking of the entire picture. I cannot see the entire picture. It's possible because I'm not an architect, I'm not a builder. Maybe there's something that I'm missing that I don't know about. Maybe it's not feasible because of whatever the grading of the land, and since we are in a what you call ring of fire, the earthquake belt. Ang Pilipinas is kasama sa earthquake belt. So that's probably for many years we don't have subway systems in the Philippines. We don't want to build subway systems because we're in an earthquake belt. But Japan has subways, subway systems for decades now. And they're also in an earthquake belt. Japan is actually very, very vulnerable to earthquake. Mas malalakas ang mga ano doon, lindol doon sa Japan. Isn't that right? I'm just gonna take a break, get some water. I'm really dry and thirsty, but don't go away. I'll change my battery and let's listen to some. Do you want me to play some of the Manila again on a loop? Let's do that. Don't go away. I'll just get some water.
Anybody else will see this except for the organs. Ibang penuntan para babae ang hirap talaga malimutan. Ikaw lang ang laging binabalikan. Somehow I feel like I'm going alone. My heart picked up my head. Thinking on the past and outside. You treat me like Maraming beses nakita, inayasang iniwanan ang ibang panunta. Parang babae, ang hirap talaga malimutan. Ikaw lang ang laging binabalikan. I keep coming back to you. Simply don't Somehow I feel I'm going alone. Maraming beses nakita, inayasang iniwanan ang ibang panunta. Parang babae, ang hirap talaga malimutan. Ikaw lang ang laging binabalikan.
Hello, hello. Manila. Coming back to Manila. So, is this song growing on you now? Kilala po natin ang nag-compose ng song na yan. Miyembro ng Hot Dogs lives here now in Toronto, Canada. Tito Mon Turalba is one of the writers of the song Manila, and original Hot Dog, who actually performed the original of Manila, which is an iconic, part na yan ng heritage natin, Filipino music. Where do I turn this down? Right there. Okay, let's let that play until the end of the loop, and then we'll change it to our show title. I give up. This thing is easily broken kasi karamihan ng ating mga produkto sa Long and McQuaid, mga made in China. That's a problem. That's a problem, right? Okay, I believe you can hear me well from this distance, right? Let me hear. Okay. Mic test, mic test, mic test, mi- mic test, mic test. There's a long delay, so okay, there you go. I can hear it. All right. Okay. Again, thank you for sticking around. We are talking about architecture. Ako hindi isang architect, but I can appreciate the art and the science of architecture and the beautiful designs that we see among many designer homes. So architecture is not supposed to only be about the aesthetics design part of building homes, but it's all the science. Uh, I mean, this is how I understood it, no? So an engineer knows the actual calculation on weighting and how to make a structure strong. The actual implementation of a design is implemented by an engineer, but who creates the design is an architect. They We have many very world-renowned architect school in Canada. Sorry for hearing my daughter. Give me a second. I'll tell her not to be too loud. There you go. Sorry about that. My daughter's getting excited. It's almost midnight, but when her mom is home, she gets a little excited with what's going on in the house because there's more noise than usual when her mom is not working. There's more activity than usual in the home, so she gets excited and she gets a little giddy and jumpy. But I understand what that is like. She's been cooped up for many days, many weeks now, because we chose the online learning. The thing is, every single day after school or even at her break time, I tell her, "Let me take you out in the playground," and she's not interested. She's not interested to go out in the playground. Maybe that will go away soon. Um, that she's more interested to be cooped up inside the house. The other things because of all the electronics, iPods and iPhones. She has her own laptop that was given by the school, lent, loaned by the school. So she has so many electronics to play with. That's probably why it's very difficult to get her to. But one of these days, I really need to organize my workflow as well, so that I can have certain time. 3 o'clock, let's go out. I'll take you out in the playground, get you some physical exercise. Kids needs that physical activity on a daily basis, or else their energy gets cooped up. Kaya sila nagiging malikot, honestly, and hard to control. Is when you don't let them play and spend their energy out in the playground. That's why playgrounds are very important. In another time, I will tell you why I chose online learning. Although I believe that kids needs to be interacting with other kids and other. But there's so many things at play right now. Let them play it all out. And yeah, one of these days I will tell you my reasoning for choosing online learning for my daughter. So many reasons that I can discuss about that. But let's go back to our original conversation ang ating usapan is about creating sustainable homes. 'Di ba marami ngayong mga lumalabas na technology about creating sustainable homes in term of like long-term impact to the environment, right? So, what else in my mind would have a lot less impact or footprints in the environment than making your home last longer and more resilient um, over natural disasters. Because if you keep on building and then it gets wrecked and then you build again and gets wrecked, you're you're making a heavier footprint of something unnatural. I believe homes are natural. Building homes are natural, but in some futurist progressive mentality, homes affecting affecting the planet in a negative way. People need to live in homes. So why would that be a negative effect to the planet? And humans take care of this planet. The planet is a lot better when there's more humans on this earth. That's my opinion. We'll talk about that some other time if you want to debate me on that. So, in history, sa kasaysayan ng mundo, ang development ng teknolohiya or advancement in technology, most of the time, how we develop products and how we develop systems and technology to solve certain to 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 bring ease and advancement into the way we live. Usually, yung mga technology na yun, it comes about because of a certain problem and somebody is tenacious enough to solve that problem, right? So, in the past millennia, or yeah, since the industrial revolution, when it comes to technology, maraming lumabas na technology product of innovation sa Amerika. Kaya tayo mga Pilipino, even back home in the Philippines, when the way we uplift our way of life, even back in the Philippines, is importing many of these products that are products of technology, advancement in technology, that creates ease in lifestyle. For example, uh, laundry machine, right? Washing machine makes things easier. It's a product of America. It was developed and invented in America. Stoves and fridges and air conditioning, all of these. I'm sorry about that, po. I have to. There's some noise in the background. I have to just address. So yeah, in the history of man, most of this technology are developed because there's such a problem, and then there's a scientist or a developer, or an architect, or an engineer who would be very tenacious to find solution on problems, right? Kaya tayo nagkaroon ng maraming development of appliances and gadgets and technology. Now, yung mga problemang very dominant to the problem of certain regions, kung wala masyadong maraming scientists or engineers from that region, and the engineers are only living, most of them, sa America or any different region, most of the problems that history gets to solve are the problems where the engineers live, right? So, merong mga universal problems like our need for electricity so that everybody benefits on electricity, because yung problema natin sa Asia or sa Pilipinas when it comes to electricity was the same problem na nararanasan ng mga Amerikano. So the engineers of America developed like Tesla and Edison, all of them, tenaciously develop technology in producing electricity because it's a universal problem, right? We need light, We need electricity to run some of the appliances and air conditioning and fridges and all that. Pareho lang naman problema natin. So we benefit. We benefit even though we live in the region na away, thousands of miles away from America. Yung mga sinosolve nila mga problema doon nung unang panahon na nagiging benefit natin kasi magkapareho tayong problema. Alright, so internet was developed in the United States as well because they want to solve the problem of communication. It's a universal challenge, so we get to benefit from that development of technology as well. Now, there are some hurricane um, zones in the United States. We, I think in the Philippines, we don't have much forest fire problems, so they have fire problems in America. So they throughout the years, every year there are forest fires. They develop technology, they develop methods and systems how to mitigate that problem. Many of those many of those technology or problem solving documents or knowledge doesn't apply to us, so we're not interested with that particular uh, document because hindi natin nararanasan yon. We skip out on that. Now, merong mga hurricane na zones in America, right? But the way they're built, the way they build their houses is a lot more resilient. Even unang-una hindi kasing lakas ng mga humahagupit na bagyo sa Pilipinas. Ang mga humahagupit na bagyo sa Amerika, although yeah, malalakas din. It can be very, very strong too. Pero historically, if they get one or two in certain regions na laging tinatamaan ng bagyo, we get like, three or five in a year, every year. Doon sa ating mga area sa Philippines na laging binabaksakan ng bagyo. So we have double or maybe triple the intensity and the frequency ng problemang yan sa Pilipinas. Now, maraming tulad nung argument ko kanina, maraming nasosolve na problema sa mundo because those engineers and those scientists live in that region where the problem exists. Ngayon, kung sa Pilipinas, walang masyadong maraming scientists and engineers who has the funding and financing or the drive, or maybe the not the drive, but maybe maraming mga scientists sa atin na wala namang pondo at saka walang the kind of support educate sa mga laboratories, right? Katulad sa North America, mga labs where you can develop your theories and your thesis and your hypothesis to test your product or test your technology until it becomes proven effective to mitigate the specific problem. So hindi na de-develop yung solution for certain problems kasi wala tayong ganong kakayanan in the Philippines to develop solutions to those problems. Pero ang gusto kong imongkahe is nowadays meron na tayong a situation in the planet where the Pinoys, the Filipino has become more global. Kaya nga meron tayong naririnig na phrase na the global Pinoy. I actually have a Facebook group that I call the Global Pinoy because we have the Filipino Canadians here, the we Filipino Canucks na Facebook group. But I also developed a Facebook group called the We Filipino Global because Pinoys are global now. So since Pinoys are global, may mga maraming Filipino families with kids being born in North America and growing up in North America. Kaya nga sa larangan ng pag-awit, makikita natin, wow, there are a lot of young Filipinos who were born sa America or sa Canada. They're, stepping up and being a par when it comes to pagtutunggalian ng paggaling sa pag-awit or sa pagsayaw. Nakikita natin na ipapamalas ng mga Pilipino na kaya nila makipagsabayan sa kanilang mga kapatid na Amerikano, mga Kanadiano, mga Europeo. So, The same principle sa larangan ng pag-awit, larangan ng pagsayaw in the entertainment or pag-acting, marami na rin tayo ngayon sa Hollywood ng mga and sa Broadway, especially sa Broadway, marami tayong mga Pilipino na magagaling umawit at nagiging cast ng mga Broadway productions. So naipapamalas natin, pwedeng makipagsabayan ng mga Pilipino na nabibigyan ng pagkakataon na ma-develop yung kanilang talents and skills sa mga iba't ibang larangan. So specifically sa larangan ng performing arts or the arts and the music or television or broadcasting. Nagkakaroon ng oportunidad ang maraming kabataang Pilipino to step up at makipagsabayan doon sa mga batikang magagaling ng mga Amerikano at mga kapatiran nating mga puti at mga itim at mga iba't ibang lahi na naninirahan dito sa multicultural North American society. Right? So, kung yung ganong prinsipyo is applicable in the performing arts industry, sa telebisyon, sa teatro, sa music, right? Sa recording industry. Meron na rin tayong the same pattern or the same cookie cutter, if we can call it, na pagkakataon in that sa industriya na yan. Ganon din na nag-o-open na rin ang pagkakataon or the opportunity para sa mga kabataang mga nasa sektor ng siyensya at teknolohiya at engineering to also step up. Naniniwala ako dyan that that is a true statement. So especially dito sa lungsod ng Toronto, we have some of the best architectural colleges in the world. Some of the best architecture, arch, some of the best structures of architectural art ay makikita dito pagka naglakad kayo sa downtown Toronto and you walk around, and we have this festival every year called the Open Doors Festival na binubuksan nila ang mga very historical at saka mga kamanghamanghang architectural builds ng mga magagaling na architects sa buong mundo, both the traditional and the historical at pati na rin mga modernong architecture. One example is the CN Tower is a product of modern architecture, although noong 1970s pa tinayo yan. For many years, for many decades, the Canadian National Tower or the CN Tower stood as the tallest freestanding structure for many years. Recently lang siya nasa pawan nung nabuo na yung Burj Dubai in Dubai or the Burj Khalifa, right? Became the tallest structure in the world. But before the Burj Khalifa, the CN Tower trumps, the World Trade Centers America or the what do you call those again? The Empire State Building. Mas mataas yung CN Tower actually than those. Only Burj Khalifa beat the CN Tower. One more very modern example of architecture na meron tayo dito sa Toronto, sa Canada, is the Royal Ontario Museum. Hindi pa pinapanganak yung aming one and only child when the ROM or the Royal Ontario Museum didn't look the way it is now. Maybe if I can edit this, I'll show you some B-rolls. Oh, I didn't. I forgot to change to my show title. The Royal Ontario Museum here in Canada is one of the advanced architectural structure in the world. Pero pinaghalo niya yung old ROM at saka yung new ROM. Yung sa harapan, yung crystal-like structure na, you have to see it to understand what I'm trying to say. But that's one of the best architectural structure in the world. And I think it's about 5 years old now. Oh, no. The ROM, the new structure, would be more than 10 years old now because my daughter's 9 and it was built maybe 4 or 5 years before she was born. So close to 15 years na pala. Bilis ng panahon. But I can remember full well when hindi pa yun ni-renovate and we drive by and it looks like an old Victorian architectural structure back in the day. And then they had a massive renovation that lasted for years, maybe a couple years. And then when it was finally unveiled, we were there in the grand opening. They got like big gala performances, street concerts, street parties to open the ROM. We were here. We didn't have kids yet. Maybe me and Evelyn were married for 5 years at that time already. It's in our we are in our fifth year of our marriage at that time. So, marami tayong mga kabataang Pilipino rito na I'm sure marami sa ating mga kabataang Pilipino are interested in the architectural industry. Really need to sneeze, sorry. Um, so, kung kayo ay mga nakikinig sa akin ay mga magulang na mga kabataan na mahilig sa architecture or you yourself is a young person who loves architecture and you are intending to develop a career in architecture and you are going to pursue your career here in North America where they will give you access to many information of modern technology, how to build structures and all that. May I encourage you, may I urge you, young Filipino Canadians, if you're going into that field, one of you or a few of you, a handful of, even just a handful of you, please, think about developing some modern architecture for our typhoon victims in the Philippines. How to build resilient homes that we can withstand strong winds like a typhoon, you know, uh, such homes that can, even if it gets damaged, it can be rebuilt quickly without having to rebuild from the grounds up. Okay, so one idea I was proposing this morning on our morning show, I said, look into this technology called earth ships in Nevada, in some um, deserts, you know, desert regions in the United States. There are some communities who are very strong believers of the sustainable community. Yung mga mahilig na mga magtanim ng kanilang, grow their own food, recycle their water, recycle their, you know, do things organically. Those who believe in vertical farming and all that. Meron mga ganyang community sa America, in the United States, where they actually build their own homes, what they call earth ships. And if you Google earth ships on Google, you will see many of the earth ships design. Sila yan nag-design yan. I believe many in their community are probably members of their community are architects and engineers. And an earth ship is actually a self-sustaining structure that what they're trying to accomplish with those structure is those homes will not create so much carbon footprint kung tawagin nila yan uh, on the planet. Kaya yung mga earth ships, karamihan na nakita kong design, a portion of the home is on the surface, but 80% of the home is embedded like a basement, like the way we build a basement, right? But in North America, it's all vertical, right? So maybe 30% of the whole structure is underground, and that's your basement. And 70% of the structure is upground, and that's your house. That's your main floor, and then your upper floor. Yung typical na North American homes. Many of them are structured that way, kaya maraming may basement dito. But earthships in those desert countries, it's like 80% of the home is underground, and only maybe 10 to 15% of the home, so 85% is underground, and 10 to 15% of the home is up on the surface. The rest of it is embedded underground, and it's mostly diagonal, right? So the structure is mostly diagonal. So half 80% nakabaon, and then let's say this is the plane, this is the above ground. The way they build their homes is like this, diagonal, 80% underneath, 20% on top. Sabi nila yung the embedded part of the home actually retains cool air and coolness during the hot summer, and during the winter time when it's bitter cold outside, it's actually warm in there. So the reason they build it that way is because yung nga, di ba, sila yung mga green movement. They're passionate about sustainability. They're passionate about minimizing your carbon footprint. So they don't believe in air conditioning. They don't like air conditioning. As much as possible, avoid air conditioning. They believe in recycling water. They believe in gathering rainwater and all that. Para yung industriya na self-sustaining yung mga bahay. And there's so many reasons for that. But I'm just looking at that and I'm thinking of that kind of structure. And I'm imagining if there's certain developers in the Philippines or certain architects who could design this kind of homes, similar structure, similar design, pero for the purpose of not just as a sustainability factor, but really to keep their homes away from the hit, yung hagupit ng mga typhoon, the harsh whipping and the harsh punishment of the typhoons. Just imagine those mga regions in the Philippines who's always being hit by typhoons year after year. What if they build their villages in such a way, or even if they cannot, if every home, every family cannot afford to build their home in such a way, maybe the local government can pull in some of their resources, and for every 100 family, for example, every 100 family in those regions who's always hit by the typhoon, they pull in their resources with the help of government funding as well to subsidize. And every 100 family build a big shelter structure that is similar to an earthship where, only 15% is above ground, 85% is underground, away from the strong winds, right? So when the winds come, parang yung mga shelter in those regions in the US and even here in Canada, where yung mga what they call twister, merong twister season, yung mga tornado season, tornado hit regions in America, meron sila mga bunkers. So in a community of 50 or a community of 30, every area in the community na can accommodate 30 to 50, maybe they have their own bunker. So everybody in that neighborhood of 10 houses or 15 homes in that area, they will have one bunker, so that if the tornado comes, everybody who lives in that area knows where to go. They go into that bunker and hunk down until the tornado leaves, right? So it will destroy their homes, yes, but they can rebuild, but they preserve their lives. At least walang namamatay. So if we have that kind of mentality in those typhoon stricken regions in the Philippines, is it possible? Can we get cooperation from private citizens, well off citizens, architects and engineers who have knowledge and technology about building such homes similar to earthship designs, and build at least for every 100 homes or 100 families in those typhoon stricken regions in the Philippines. Pull your finances together, pull your resources together with the help of the government. Maybe the government can pay 50% of the cost or more, but somebody needs to initiate it. We cannot rely on the government to initiate such thing, because alam naman natin na pagdating sa gobyerno, mga politiko sa Pilipinas, they're more in there to think about themselves, how they They take care of themselves more than they take care of what is the needs of the people. So it needs to be private citizens, private architects and engineers who have big hearts, start something and create a drive to develop such kind of community where every 100 homes, every 100 families will be involved in building their. It only needs to be started in one community of, let's be a little bit more practical, a community of 30 homes, 30 families. They start in that one community. If they prove it to be a very uh, resilient, uh, if it can be proven that it's a viable option, then many communities. Now, uh, when I say this, I'm not talking about the big cities na binabaha, right? Because you cannot be underground if there's baha, malulunod ka doon. I'm talking about those fishing villages near uh, the oceans or in the lalawigan, yung mga nandun sa probinsya who whose homes are always devastated by big typhoons and they got nothing to go back to. Pero karamihan ng nasa probinsya, hindi naman sila yung binabaha. Ang binabaha kasi yung mga nasa lungsod dahil when the rains come, the way the cities are built, sometimes they're under the sea level, and also all of their sewers are clogged, right? Yun ang problema sa Manila. So I'm not thinking about the solution for villages in Manila. I'm thinking about the solution for fishing villages in the provinces, in the lalawigans, in the rural areas, right? Yung mga hindi binabaha, they're up in the mountains, near the mountains, but they can build their homes like an earth ship, where 80% of the home is embedded underground and only 15 to 20% of the home is above ground. Uh, Even if it's, like I said, it doesn't have to be every home, but maybe every 30 families can have a bunker, um, a common home for all 30 families to, when things are fine, when it's not typhoon season, nobody lives there. That is reserved for emergency. Nobody lives there. Kaya yan sa Pilipinas na walang mag-squat doon. Walang magbe-break in to live there and squat in there. I think sa mga probinsya, mas maliit yung problema with squatting. Squatting is more of an urban problem. But anyways, that's my thoughts about that. And there's more to say about that, I'm sure. And I'm probably saying some things for some of you that doesn't make sense and you want to dispute what I'm saying. So actually, you have an opportunity to do that. You can send me a text at 647-875-3783 or email me at joseph.salvador at ordinaryjoeshow. I'm going to post it down here. I'm going to put a banner down here so you can see where to send me a text or to connect with me. Okay, it says here OJTV morning show, but it's not a morning show. I can change that for you if you want right now. Uh, let's say late night show, right? Just for your reference, that you can actually have this conversation with me even after the broadcast is over. Send me a text, send me an email, talk about it, and I can even bring you to the show. I can send you a link so that you can join me on the virtual studio. If this is a topic that you have some opinions on and you think you have a better idea than what I just described, I welcome all kinds of ideas. Please do dispute my thoughts and my suggestions if it doesn't make sense. For me, I think it makes sense right now in my head. It makes sense unless until somebody tells me otherwise that it doesn't make sense and they show me why it doesn't make sense and they explain it to me. I'm a very open person. I I'm a good learner and I can change my mind and change my opinion. All I need is somebody tell me in a cordial, civilized way why I'm wrong, and I can always accept why I'm wrong. But anyways, thank you for sticking with me. This is a late night kwentuhan on a Friday night. On Sunday morning, we are resuming back with our early morning manggagawang Filipino. Not a lot of Filipino works on Sunday morning, but there are many Filipinos who does have second and third and fourth jobs. So every Sunday to Thursday, actually up to Friday. Only we take a break on Saturdays. Saturdays, my vow of silence and rest, to heal the body. Every Saturday, I don't do any kind of stuff. The only thing I really want to do on a Saturday is maybe set up a playlist and let it play on its own automatically. But last time I did that, I got warned by Facebook. So I'm looking forward to being partners with Go Live TV, and keep that in prayer. Hopefully, Go Live TV will take us on and be a partner, and we can broadcast from them. No censorship, no limits, and no restrictions. This is your host and your servant of the Lord and servant of the community, your kababayan and your fellow ordinary Joe, Joey Salvador. And you've been watching Late Night Kwentuhan only here on the Ordinary Joe Show. God bless you all. Good night. Bye bye.